The story of philosophy is rich with ideas that challenge our understanding of existence and purpose. One such idea comes from the philosopher F.W.J. Schelling, who proposed an intriguing concept, a God choosing nothingness. This notion was later explored in depth by François Jullien, and it has since become a cornerstone in discussions about redemption and existential choice. To unravel this profound philosophical journey, we must delve into the intricate layers of meaning that underpin Schelling's and Jullien's thoughts. Schelling introduced his idea at a time when traditional theological frameworks were being challenged by emerging scientific paradigms and new understandings of the universe. The question of divine existence was no longer simply a matter of faith, but also an inquiry into the philosophical implications of such belief systems. Schelling's concept of a God choosing nothingness serves as a thought-provoking challenge to conventional notions of divinity, which often assume that creation is an inherent part of the divine nature. In Schelling's view, for a being with absolute power and freedom to choose not to create anything at all would be a powerful statement about the nature of existence. This notion suggests that even in the face of infinite potential, there can be a meaningful choice to reject creation or action, a decision that carries profound implications for concepts like redemption and the possibility of non-being. François Jullien's work on this topic brings an Eastern perspective into dialogue with Western philosophy, exploring how such a concept could be understood within different cultural and philosophical traditions. He argues that the idea of choosing nothingness is not just a rejection but also a form of transcendence, suggesting that true freedom lies in the capacity to say no, even when saying yes would seem more natural or expected. To explore this further, we need to look at the concept of redemption within philosophy. Redemption often implies a return to an original state or a transformation from a flawed existence towards something pure or higher. But Schelling's and Jullien's exploration of choosing nothingness introduces a twist. It suggests that redemption can be found not just in creation, but also in the act of non-creation, in embracing absence as much as presence. This philosophical inquiry leads us to consider what it means for an entity with infinite potential to choose to limit itself. It challenges us to think about the value and meaning of existence versus non-existence. In a universe that might seem endlessly expansive and chaotic, the choice not to add anything could be seen as a form of order or restraint, a way to assert control over one's own power rather than letting it run unchecked. The implications of this idea extend beyond theology into ethics and personal philosophy. If an all-powerful being can choose nothingness, what does that say about our human choices? Is there value in the act of choosing not to act or create? This question invites us to reflect on our own lives. Are we making active choices every moment, or are there times when non-action is equally important? To illustrate this point, let's imagine a scenario where a being with immense power faces an overwhelming number of possible actions and creations. Each choice comes with consequences that ripple through the universe, affecting countless beings and entities. In such a situation, choosing nothingness can be seen as a form of self-discipline, a way to protect the integrity of existence from overabundance or chaos. In Jullien's work, this idea is further developed in relation to Chinese philosophy, particularly Taoism, which emphasizes the importance of non-action and the balance between action and inaction. This perspective offers a different take on Schelling's concept by integrating it with Eastern notions of harmony and balance. The narrative of redemption within this context becomes complex. It's not just about moving from one state to another, but about making choices that maintain or restore equilibrium. Redemption, then, is not merely about overcoming sin or imperfection, but also about choosing wisely in a world where every action can have vast repercussions. To fully grasp the depth of Schelling's and Jullien's ideas, we must consider how they resonate with broader philosophical questions like the nature of freedom, ethics, and the purpose of existence. These thinkers challenge us to reconsider what it means to be an agent in a complex universe, suggesting that true power lies not only in creation, but also in restraint. As we explore this concept further, it becomes clear that choosing nothingness is more than just a philosophical exercise. It's a profound statement about the nature of being and choice. It prompts us to think deeply about our own existence and the choices we make every day. In a world where everything seems possible, the power of inaction can be as significant as any other action. This idea also offers a unique perspective on redemption. It suggests that one form of redemption is not just overcoming flaws, but choosing wisely from among infinite possibilities. This choice to embrace nothingness or non-action becomes a pathway to self-knowledge and ethical clarity. In conclusion, Schelling's concept of a God choosing nothingness, as elaborated by François Julien, invites us into a realm where the value of existence is questioned alongside the act of creation. It challenges us to think deeply about our choices in life and their implications for ourselves and others. This philosophical journey is one that continues to resonate with those who seek deeper understanding of what it means to be in this world. Beyond Schopenhauer lies a realm where existential despair intertwines with philosophical redemption, and it is here that we find Philipp Mainländer. A disciple of Arthur Schopenhauer, Mainlander's philosophy diverges from his mentor's pessimism to propose an ultimate solution: the rejection of existence itself. His work, particularly The Redemption of Humanity Through Self-Knowledge, delves into a profound exploration of suffering, redemption, and the act of divine creation that chooses nothingness. Mainlander was born in Frankfurt am Main in 1841 and came to be deeply influenced by Schopenhauer's ideas. However, unlike his predecessor who saw life as inherently painful and without inherent value, Mainlander sought a path beyond this despair towards redemption. His philosophical journey led him to ponder the nature of existence itself, culminating in the radical notion that only through the rejection of all creation could true peace and fulfillment be achieved. Mainlander's central thesis is encapsulated in his concept of the God who chose nothingness. Drawing from Schopenhauer's ideas about will as the source of suffering, Mainlander posits a deity that transcends this will by choosing non-existence. This act of divine renunciation is seen as the ultimate form of redemption, offering an escape from the cycle of pain and suffering inherent in existence. Philipp Mainlander's philosophy is not just a critique of life, but also a call to action for humanity. He argues that only through self-knowledge and understanding can one achieve true redemption. His work explores the depths of human consciousness and existence, proposing that enlightenment lies in recognizing the futility of worldly desires and embracing non-being as the ultimate state. Schelling's concept of the God who chose nothingness provides a philosophical foundation for Mainlander's radical ideas. By considering the implications of a deity rejecting creation, Schelling invites us to question the value and purpose of existence itself. This thought experiment challenges our conventional understanding of divinity and creation, suggesting that non-being may be more valuable than being. François Julien's interpretation of Schelling's idea further illuminates Mainlander's philosophy by focusing on the act of choosing nothingness as a profound assertion against the will to live. For Julien, this choice represents an ultimate form of liberation from suffering and desire, aligning closely with Mainlander's vision of redemption through non-existence. Mainlander's journey towards his philosophical conclusions was not without personal turmoil. Struggling with mental health issues and a profound sense of existential angst, he found solace in the idea that existence itself is flawed beyond repair. His own life came to reflect his philosophy as he chose suicide at the age of 28, viewing it as an ultimate act of renunciation. This tragic end serves as a powerful testament to Mainlander's conviction and his ideas. His work has left a lasting impact on philosophical thought, particularly among existentialists and those who question the value of existence. Mainlander's radical proposition challenges us to think deeply about our own lives and choices, inviting us to consider whether true happiness lies in embracing or rejecting life. Mainlander's philosophy is not merely abstract speculation, but a practical guide for living. He argues that by understanding and accepting the futility of striving for fulfillment through worldly means, one can achieve a state of peace unattainable through conventional paths. This perspective offers an alternative to the relentless pursuit of happiness and success so prevalent in modern society. Furthermore, Mainlander's work resonates with contemporary discussions on nihilism and existential despair. His ideas provide a framework for those who find traditional philosophical solutions insufficient or unsatisfying. By rejecting existence outright, he proposes a radical form of redemption that challenges the very foundations of human experience. The implications of Mainlander's philosophy are far-reaching. It invites us to reconsider our understanding of creation and divinity, suggesting that the act of choosing nothingness may be more in line with a divine purpose than the creation of existence itself. This perspective forces us to question not only why we exist, but also whether it is even worthwhile. In conclusion, Philipp Mainlander's philosophy offers a stark yet compelling vision for those seeking redemption beyond Schopenhauer's pessimism. By exploring the concept of the God who chose nothingness, he invites us into a realm where the value of existence and creation are critically examined. His work challenges our deepest assumptions about life and provides an alternative path towards peace and fulfillment through the act of renunciation. Mainlander's journey from existential despair to radical redemption is a testament to the power of philosophical inquiry in transforming one's understanding of the world. As we continue to grapple with questions of meaning, purpose, and suffering, his ideas remain a profound and thought-provoking contribution to the ongoing dialogue about what it means to be human. The philosopher Arthur Schopenhauer once said, "All truth passes through three stages. First, it is ridiculed. Second, it is violently opposed. Third, it is accepted as being self-evident." In the annals of philosophy, few thinkers have traversed these stages more profoundly than Philipp Mainlander. His journey from existential despair to radical redemption offers a path towards peace and fulfillment through the act of renunciation, a concept that challenges our deepest assumptions about life and purpose. Mainlander's story begins in the late 19th century, a time when European society was grappling with questions of meaning amidst rapid industrialization and scientific discovery. Born as Philipp Ackermann in Hamburg in 1847, he later adopted the surname Mainlander after his mother's death, renaming himself in honor of the region where she lived. Philipp's early life was marked by an intense search for meaning. He studied law at Göttingen University but soon turned to philosophy and theology. His intellectual pursuits were fueled by a deep sense of dissatisfaction with the world around him, a dissatisfaction that would eventually lead him to the brink of existential despair. Mainlander's philosophical journey is characterized by a profound disillusionment with both religion and materialism. He found traditional religious explanations for suffering inadequate, while the burgeoning positivist philosophy of his time offered no spiritual solace either. This void in his understanding of existence led Mainlander to question the very foundations of reality. In his seminal work, The Redemption of Humanity, published in 1876 at the age of 29, Mainlander articulated a radical philosophical framework that challenged conventional notions of progress and enlightenment. His ideas revolved around the concept of redemption through nothingness, an idea that might seem paradoxical on the surface but holds profound implications for understanding human suffering. Mainlander's philosophy posits that true liberation from suffering can only be achieved by embracing the absence of being or nothingness. This is not a nihilistic stance, but rather a recognition of the intrinsic emptiness at the heart of existence. By renouncing the illusion of self and embracing this emptiness, one transcends the cycle of desire and dissatisfaction that perpetuates suffering. The path to redemption through nothingness requires a radical shift in perspective. Mainlander argued that the ego, with its relentless pursuit of pleasure and avoidance of pain, is at the root of all human suffering. By dissolving this illusion of self, one can achieve a state of enlightenment where suffering no longer has purchase. This idea of redemption through nothingness resonates deeply with Eastern philosophies such as Buddhism, which also emphasize the impermanence and emptiness of existence. However, Mainlander's approach is uniquely Western in its emphasis on reason and critical analysis. His work represents a synthesis between rational inquiry and spiritual transcendence, a bridge between the analytical rigor of Western philosophy and the intuitive wisdom of Eastern thought. Mainlander's life took an increasingly dramatic turn as he became more immersed in his philosophical ideas. In 1876, at the height of his intellectual achievement, he published The Redemption of Humanities and promptly renounced the material world. He abandoned his legal career, rejecting societal norms and embracing a life dedicated to spreading his philosophy. Mainlander's radical approach often led him into conflict with conventional society. His ideas were not well received by contemporaries who found them too abstract or unsettling. Nevertheless, he continued to write prolifically, publishing works that expanded on the themes of redemption through nothingness and the inherent suffering in existence. In 1879, just 3 years after his major philosophical work, Mainlander took a dramatic step that would cement his legacy as an enigmatic figure in philosophy. In a letter to his sister dated October 25th, he wrote about his belief in redemption through love and nothingness before committing suicide by shooting himself at the age of 32. His final act was seen by some as a testament to his ideas, a profound statement that only through complete renunciation could true liberation be achieved. Mainlander's life and work continue to fascinate philosophers and thinkers today, offering a unique perspective on suffering and redemption. His radical ideas challenge us to look beyond conventional solutions for meaning and purpose in life. By embracing the concept of nothingness as a path towards enlightenment, Mainlander provides an alternative framework for understanding human existence. The implications of Mainlander's philosophy are far-reaching. It challenges us to question our reliance on material comforts and societal expectations, urging us instead to seek fulfillment through spiritual awakening and renunciation. His work invites reflection on the nature of suffering and redemption in a world that often seems devoid of meaning. In contemporary discussions about existentialism and nihilism, Mainlander's ideas remain relevant as a counterpoint to despair. While many see his philosophy as too extreme or impractical, others find profound wisdom in its radical renunciation of self. His journey from existential despair to radical redemption serves as a testament to the transformative power of philosophical inquiry. In conclusion, Philipp Mainlander's legacy is one of challenging and redefining our understanding of existence and suffering. Through his work on redemption through nothingness, he offers an alternative path towards peace and fulfillment that goes beyond conventional solutions. His life and ideas continue to provoke thought and inspire reflection in the ongoing dialogue about what it means to be human. The universe, vast and incomprehensible in its complexity, has long been a source of both wonder and philosophical inquiry. Among the myriad questions that arise from contemplating the cosmos, none is more profound than how it all began. In this exploration, we delve into an unconventional perspective on the origins of existence, a perspective that challenges our conventional understanding of creation itself. This narrative takes us to the heart of Philipp Mainländer's radical philosophy, where he proposes a concept as daring and enigmatic as the Big Bang, the idea that fragmentation is the origin of all things. Mainländer, born in 1847 in Brunswick, Germany, was a thinker deeply influenced by Schopenhauer's pessimism, but sought to transcend it with his own unique philosophy. His work culminated in an extraordinary manuscript titled The Redemption Through Annihilation, completed during the final year of his life and published posthumously. In this treatise, Mainländer articulates a vision that not only redefines redemption as a path towards nothingness, but also offers a startling new interpretation of the universe's genesis. For Mainländer, the universe is born out of fragmentation, a breaking apart rather than a coming together. This concept diverges sharply from traditional views of creation, which often invoke divine will or natural laws to explain the emergence of order and complexity from chaos. Instead, he posits that existence begins with rupture, disintegration, and dissolution, processes traditionally seen as antithetical to life. Imagine a singular moment in time where wholeness shatters into countless pieces, a cosmic explosion, not of light or matter, but of disunity and conflict. This is the Big Bang, as Mainländer conceives it, an event that initiates not just physical expansion, but also spiritual fragmentation. From this perspective, everything we experience, life's joys and sorrows, love and hate, beauty and ugliness, is a direct consequence of this initial rupture. Mainländer's philosophy does not shy away from the harsh realities of existence. He acknowledges that suffering is intrinsic to life, a condition that arises directly from our inability to reunite with the singularity before fragmentation. Yet, within this framework lies a profound opportunity for redemption, through an acceptance and transcendence of separation. The path Mainländer outlines involves embracing the inherent disunity of existence as a pathway towards spiritual enlightenment. Redemption does not mean returning to an original state of wholeness, but rather finding peace through the recognition that fragmentation is both inevitable and necessary. In this sense, redemption is achieved when one accepts the impermanence and transience of all things. Mainländer's concept of fragmentation as the origin of existence has profound implications for how we perceive the universe and our place within it. It suggests a cosmos where order emerges from chaos not through harmonious assembly, but through the dynamic interplay of disintegration and reassembly. This perspective challenges us to reconsider the nature of causality, purpose, and meaning in a world that begins with dissolution. Furthermore, this view offers a unique lens for understanding human suffering. If fragmentation is fundamental to existence, then our struggles are not arbitrary or without cause, but rather an intrinsic part of the cosmic narrative. Mainländer's philosophy provides a framework within which we can find solace and meaning in the midst of adversity. The idea that redemption lies through nothingness might seem paradoxical at first glance, yet it is precisely this counterintuitive notion that gives depth to Mainländer's philosophy. Redemption here is not about achieving some form of eternal bliss or overcoming suffering entirely, but rather embracing a state where distinctions dissolve and peace prevails. In his manuscript, Mainländer elaborates on the concept of redemption through annihilation as a process of spiritual purification. This involves letting go of all attachments to material existence and identifying with the universal essence that transcends individuality. By relinquishing one's sense of self and merging with this greater whole, one achieves a state of peace and fulfillment that goes beyond conventional notions of happiness. Philipp Mainländer's legacy stands as a testament to the transformative power of philosophical inquiry. His work challenges us to question our assumptions about existence, suffering, and redemption. Through his radical ideas on fragmentation and annihilation, he offers an alternative path towards understanding the cosmos and our place within it. a path that seeks fulfillment not in worldly achievements or spiritual ascent, but in the acceptance of impermanence. In conclusion, Mainlander's philosophy continues to provoke thought and inspire reflection. It invites us to consider a universe born from disunity and shaped by the relentless forces of fragmentation. This perspective challenges conventional wisdom and offers an intriguing path towards redemption through embracing nothingness. Through his ideas, Philipp Mainländer remains a provocative voice in the ongoing dialogue about what it means to be human. As we delve into the abyss of Mainländer's philosophy, we find ourselves confronted with a universe that does not embrace unity or purpose, but rather disunity and existential decay. Philipp Mainländer, a German philosopher active in the 19th century, proposes a profound view on existence that challenges traditional metaphysical perspectives, offering instead an acceptance of nothingness as the ultimate truth of our cosmic reality. Mainländer's philosophy begins with the premise that the universe is not a harmonious entity governed by divine order, but rather a chaotic system perpetually driven towards entropy. The concept of cosmic decomposition suggests that all forms and structures within the universe are inherently temporary, destined to break down and disintegrate over time. This principle aligns closely with the second law of thermodynamics, which states that the total entropy in an isolated system will always increase until equilibrium is reached, essentially meaning everything moves towards a state of nothingness. In this framework, existence itself becomes an illusion perpetuated by our consciousness and perception. The idea that we are living in a world governed by disunity challenges the notion that there is some inherent purpose or destiny for humanity or the cosmos as a whole. Mainländer argues against the prevailing belief systems of his time, which posited a universe with divine intent, suggesting instead a reality where randomness and decay govern all processes. The concept of existential decay further deepens this perspective by emphasizing the impermanence of individual existence within this chaotic framework. For Mainländer, human life is not just fleeting but fundamentally disconnected from any overarching meaning or purpose. Every moment, every breath, and every decision we make contributes to a process that leads inexorably towards dissolution and annihilation. However, despite these bleak assertions, Mainländer's philosophy offers a path towards redemption through the acceptance of this cosmic reality. The key to finding solace in his view lies not in attempting to resist or escape the inevitable decay, but rather in embracing it fully. This involves acknowledging the transient nature of all things and recognizing that our attempts to impose meaning on an inherently meaningless universe are futile. By accepting nothingness as the ultimate truth, individuals can find a form of redemption through enlightenment and liberation from the illusion of permanence. Mainländer's vision encourages us to view our existence not as a tragedy, but as a profound opportunity for understanding and acceptance. This acceptance is not resignation or despair, but rather a radical embrace of reality in its most raw and unfiltered form. In exploring this philosophy, we encounter several key ideas that challenge conventional wisdom. Firstly, the idea of an inherently chaotic universe contradicts traditional metaphysical beliefs about order and purpose. Mainländer's perspective suggests that any sense of harmony or balance we perceive is a construct of our minds rather than inherent in the cosmos itself. Secondly, the notion of existential decay challenges the human drive for permanence and immortality. The recognition that all things must pass can be unsettling but also liberating when viewed through Mainländer's lens of acceptance. This perspective encourages us to appreciate the present moment fully without clinging to illusions of enduring significance or control. Lastly, the path towards redemption through nothingness invites a re-evaluation of our relationship with existence itself. Rather than seeking escape from the realities of life and death, This philosophy promotes an embrace of both as integral aspects of the human experience. Philipp Mainländer's work remains influential not only for its philosophical depth, but also for its profound implications on how we understand ourselves within the grand tapestry of the cosmos. His ideas challenge us to confront the impermanence and disunity that lie at the heart of existence, offering a radical path towards acceptance and redemption. Through his philosophy, Mainländer encourages a deeper exploration into what it means to be human in a universe without inherent meaning or purpose. This exploration invites us to reconsider our values, beliefs, and perceptions, fostering a more nuanced understanding of existence itself. By embracing the truth of nothingness, we may find a form of redemption that liberates us from the illusions of permanence and control. Ultimately, Mainländer's philosophy serves as a provocative voice in the ongoing dialogue about human purpose and cosmic meaning. It challenges us to look beyond conventional wisdom and embrace the raw reality of existence, finding solace and liberation through acceptance rather than resistance. The philosophy of F.W.J. von Schelling and his later speculative work on the concept of nothingness, which influenced the radical thinker Arthur Schopenhauer and eventually Friedrich Nietzsche, forms a backdrop for the emergence of Max Stirner's unique existentialism in 19th century Germany. However, it is within this intellectual milieu that we find Philipp Mainländer, an enigmatic philosopher whose ideas have since been largely forgotten but continue to provoke thought among those interested in the philosophy of redemption and the nature of existence. Mainländer was born Friedrich Albert Christian Demmrich on May 17, 1841, in Hamburg, Germany. His family were devout Protestants, a religious background that deeply influenced his philosophical inquiries. He attended the University of Göttingen to study theology and philosophy, but later transferred to the University of Leipzig, where he engaged with the works of Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, among others. In 1863, at the age of 22, Mainländer published a book titled The True System of German Idealism, in which he argued for a monistic idealism that saw all existence as a unity of mind and matter. This work was heavily influenced by Schelling's later philosophy, but also incorporated elements from Buddhism and Spinoza's pantheism. However, it is Mainländer's second book, The Redemption of the World Through Love, that solidifies his position as a philosopher with a truly unique vision. In this work, he presents an apocalyptic worldview wherein Christianity, or rather, the idea of love within Christianity, serves as the only means to transcend the world of suffering and illusion. Mainländer's philosophy hinges on the concept of nothingness, not as mere non-existence, but as a fundamental state of being from which everything emerges. He posits that the universe is a manifestation of God's self-negation, God choosing nothingness over eternal existence in order to bring about the world through love and suffering. This idea is deeply rooted in his interpretation of Christianity, particularly the notion of divine redemption. In Mainländer's view, human life is characterized by a constant struggle against the void, an attempt to impose meaning on a fundamentally meaningless existence. He argues that this struggle is futile because the ultimate truth of reality is nothingness. Yet, paradoxically, it is precisely through the recognition and acceptance of this nothingness that redemption can be found. He sees redemption not as a personal salvation, but as a cosmic process where the world returns to its original state of nothingness. This return, however, does not mean an end or destruction. Rather, it represents the triumph of love over suffering, a concept deeply embedded in his Christian theology and existentialist philosophy. Mainländer's vision is one that challenges traditional notions of progress and purpose. Instead of striving for a better future or seeking to overcome the human condition, he advocates for an acceptance of the inevitability of destruction and the cyclical nature of existence. This idea is revolutionary in its time because it rejects the optimism prevalent in 19th century philosophy. Furthermore, Mainländer's work addresses the problem of evil by asserting that suffering is not merely a result of human actions, but an intrinsic part of the divine plan for redemption. The world as we know it is a manifestation of God's choice to embrace nothingness and create through love. Therefore, suffering is not a punishment but a necessary condition for the realization of this cosmic love. However, Mainländer's philosophy also extends beyond religious doctrine into broader existential questions about human purpose and meaning. His ideas challenge readers to consider whether it is possible to find fulfillment in an existence that is ultimately without inherent value or purpose. Can one achieve redemption through acceptance and recognition of the emptiness at the core of all things? Mainländer's influence, though not widely recognized during his lifetime, has resonated with later philosophers and thinkers who grapple with similar existential questions. Figures such as Martin Heidegger and Jean-Paul Sartre have explored themes related to the absurdity and meaninglessness of existence, echoing some of Mainländer's earlier insights. In conclusion, Philipp Mainländer's philosophy offers a radical perspective on redemption and existence. By embracing nothingness as both a condition and a path towards cosmic love and liberation, his ideas challenge conventional wisdom about human purpose and the nature of reality itself. Philipp Mainländer's philosophy presents an existential framework that challenges conventional notions of redemption and human purpose. Born in 1841, Mainländer was a German philosopher whose work remained largely unnoticed until the 20th century, when it began to influence existentialist thinkers such as Martin Heidegger and Jean-Paul Sartre. Central to his philosophy is the idea that existence itself is inherently flawed and without intrinsic value, necessitating a leap beyond mere existence towards a cosmic consciousness that transcends all earthly suffering. Mainländer argues for an understanding of reality in which nothingness plays a crucial role. His work posits that the creation of the universe out of nothing was not a positive act, but rather a tragic mistake, one from which humanity must seek liberation through self-awareness and philosophical insight. This perspective is rooted in his belief that the world as we perceive it is inherently flawed and unsatisfying. Mainländer's view of existence aligns closely with what he terms absolute pessimism. For him, reality is an illusion, a dream within which all beings are trapped. The only way to escape this illusion is through recognition of its inherent emptiness and striving towards the realization that true peace can only be found in nothingness, or what Mainländer refers to as cosmic love. This cosmic love represents the ultimate state of being where all contradictions and suffering cease to exist. One of the key themes in Mainländer's work is the concept of redemption through negation. He argues that any attempt to find meaning within the confines of existence is futile, and that true liberation can only be achieved by embracing the emptiness at the core of reality. This notion challenges traditional religious and philosophical views on redemption, which typically advocate for a positive transformation or attainment of some higher state. Mainländer's ideas resonate with contemporary existentialist thought in their exploration of the absurdity and meaninglessness of existence. Heidegger's concept of being toward death as an authentic confrontation with the finite nature of life echoes Mainländer's emphasis on self-awareness and acceptance of one's place within a seemingly meaningless universe. Similarly, Sartre's existentialist notion that humans are condemned to freedom and must confront the radical absence of inherent meaning in existence aligns closely with Mainländer's perspective. However, where Heidegger and Sartre offer pathways towards subjective authenticity or personal freedom respectively, Mainländer proposes a more radical solution, the embrace of nothingness as both an existential condition and a path to liberation. This concept is encapsulated in his idea that true redemption lies not in overcoming suffering, but in transcending it through the recognition and acceptance of emptiness. Mainländer's philosophy also has significant implications for understanding the nature of reality itself. By positing existence as inherently flawed and without intrinsic value, he challenges materialist or positivist views that see the world as a neutral or positive entity. Instead, his work suggests that any attempt to find meaning within an existentially empty universe is destined to fail, necessitating a leap beyond mere existence towards a transcendent state of being. Furthermore, Mainländer's ideas have implications for ethics and morality. If existence itself is flawed and without intrinsic value, then traditional ethical frameworks based on the idea of human dignity or the sanctity of life may be called into question. This raises profound questions about how one should live in a world that is fundamentally lacking in inherent meaning or purpose. The embrace of nothingness as both an existential condition and a path to liberation also has significant implications for our understanding of redemption. Mainländer's philosophy suggests that true redemption lies not in overcoming suffering, but in transcending it through the recognition and acceptance of emptiness. This perspective challenges conventional views on redemption, which typically advocate for some form of positive transformation or attainment of a higher state. Mainländer's work also offers insights into the nature of consciousness itself. By emphasizing the illusory quality of existence and the necessity of transcending it through self-awareness and philosophical insight, his philosophy suggests that true liberation can only be achieved by recognizing the emptiness at the core of reality. This idea resonates with contemporary discussions about the nature of consciousness and its relationship to reality. Moreover, Mainländer's ideas have relevance in modern debates about artificial intelligence and existential risks. As we increasingly confront the possibility of creating entities that surpass human capabilities or encountering forms of life vastly different from our own, his perspective offers a framework for understanding these challenges through the lens of an inherently flawed existence. In conclusion, Philipp Mainländer's philosophy offers a radical and challenging perspective on redemption and existence. By embracing nothingness as both a condition and a path towards cosmic love and liberation, his ideas challenge conventional wisdom about human purpose and the nature of reality itself. His work invites us to confront the ultimate questions of life with an open mind and a willingness to embrace the emptiness at its core. As we delve deeper into Philipp Mainländer's philosophy, it becomes clear that his ideas are not just radical but also deeply intertwined with the existential human condition. Born in Germany during a time of significant political and social upheaval, Mainländer was acutely aware of the struggles and contradictions that characterized life in the 19th century. This awareness formed the backdrop against which he developed his unique perspective on redemption and existence. Mainländer's philosophy is built upon the premise that human beings are inherently flawed creatures who exist within a world marred by suffering, conflict, and despair. Yet, at the heart of this darkness lies an opportunity for transformation, a path towards liberation through embracing nothingness. This concept might seem paradoxical or even nihilistic to some, but Mainländer sees it as the ultimate expression of spiritual truth. To understand why Mainländer places such emphasis on the concept of nothingness, we must first explore his view of reality. For him, the world as we know it is a place where true happiness and fulfillment are elusive goals. The structures that govern human society, religion, politics, economics, are riddled with contradictions and fail to provide genuine satisfaction or meaning. In this context, Mainländer argues that conventional notions of redemption or salvation fall short because they seek to maintain the status quo rather than transcend it. Central to Mainlander's thought is the idea that true liberation can only be achieved by embracing a state beyond existence, a condition he terms nothingness. This is not the same as physical death or mere non-being. Instead, it represents a spiritual state of emptiness and detachment from worldly concerns. By transcending the limitations imposed by human consciousness, individuals can break free from the cycle of suffering and enter into a realm of pure love and cosmic unity. Mainlander's philosophy is also deeply influenced by his understanding of Schopenhauer's ideas on will and representation. Like Arthur Schopenhauer, Mainlander views the world as fundamentally flawed due to its foundation in an irrational and endless striving. However, while Schopenhauer saw liberation through asceticism and negation of desire, Mainlander proposes a more radical approach. Embrace nothingness to escape the cycle entirely. For Mainlander, this embrace of nothingness is not just a passive acceptance, but an active process of disengagement from the world. It involves rejecting all forms of materialism, hedonism, and even traditional religious paths that promise redemption through adherence to dogma or ritual. Instead, one must seek a state where individual desires and ambitions dissolve into a collective consciousness, a condition he describes as cosmic love. In this state, the self ceases to exist in its conventional form, leading to an experience of oneness with all creation. This concept of cosmic love is crucial because it represents the ultimate goal of Mainlander's philosophy. It is not merely a feeling or sentiment, but a transformative state of being that transcends individual boundaries and merges with the infinite. Through this merging, suffering ceases to be an obstacle, but rather becomes a stepping stone towards greater understanding and compassion. However, achieving such a state requires immense courage and willingness to confront the void. Mainlander's work invites readers to question their deepest beliefs about existence, purpose, and redemption. It challenges us to look beyond traditional frameworks of morality and spirituality, suggesting that true liberation lies in embracing emptiness rather than resisting it. Mainlander's ideas are not without controversy or criticism. Critics argue that his philosophy can be seen as overly pessimistic or even dangerous due to its rejection of conventional values and institutions. They point out the potential risks associated with encouraging people to detach from society entirely, arguing that such a stance could lead to social disintegration or individual despair. Despite these concerns, Mainlander's work offers profound insights into the nature of human existence and our quest for meaning in an often chaotic world. By embracing nothingness as both a condition and a path towards cosmic love, his philosophy provides a unique perspective on redemption that challenges us to reevaluate our understanding of purpose and fulfillment. In essence, Mainlander's philosophy serves as a call to action, to confront the emptiness at the core of existence with an open heart and mind. It encourages individuals to transcend their limitations and seek liberation in ways that may seem counterintuitive or even impossible according to conventional wisdom. Through this lens, he invites us to explore not just our fears and desires, but also our capacity for true transformation. Philipp Mainländer's work remains relevant today because it addresses fundamental questions about the nature of reality and human purpose. In a world filled with uncertainty and struggle, his ideas offer a radical yet compelling vision of redemption, one that challenges us to embrace the void rather than fear it, ultimately leading towards a state of cosmic unity and love. The concept of deep sleep as blissful is one that has captivated philosophers and thinkers for centuries, challenging us to consider the nature of consciousness, existence, and our place within the cosmos. In Philipp Mainländer's intricate philosophical framework, the idea of deep sleep isn't merely a state of rest, but a profound journey into the abyssal depths of nothingness, a concept that holds significant implications for understanding redemption and cosmic unity. Mainländer's work stands as a beacon in an era marked by existential questioning. He proposes that true transformation lies not in seeking answers or solutions to life's problems, but rather in embracing the void itself, the state of being without purpose, meaning, or desire. This radical proposition challenges traditional notions of redemption and invites us to redefine what it means to be at one with the universe. Deep sleep, as Mainländer explores, is a metaphor for this existential journey into nothingness. It's not merely about resting our bodies, but rather about transcending the limitations of consciousness itself. When we fall into deep sleep, we relinquish control over thoughts and desires, allowing ourselves to merge with the infinite expanse of unconsciousness. This act of surrender is likened by Mainländer to a divine moment where the individual ego dissolves into cosmic oneness. To understand why deep sleep is blissful in this context, one must first grasp the concept of nothingness as central to Mainländer's philosophy. Nothingness, far from being an absence or void, is instead a fullness, a state of infinite potential and freedom. It represents the ultimate liberation from the constraints imposed by our conditioned minds and societal expectations. In deep sleep, we temporarily escape these confines and enter a realm where all boundaries blur. Mainländer's exploration of deep sleep as a metaphor for this existential journey is deeply rooted in his belief that true transformation lies not in striving towards an external ideal, but rather in embracing the inherent emptiness within us all. By surrendering to the void, we confront our deepest fears and desires, stripping away layers of false consciousness until only pure essence remains. This process of relinquishing control is not just physical or psychological, it's spiritual and cosmic in nature. Mainländer sees deep sleep as a gateway to experiencing oneness with the universe. During this state, the individual ego melts away, dissolving into the infinite expanse of nothingness that underlies all existence. This dissolution brings about a profound sense of peace and unity, blissful because it frees us from the incessant striving and suffering inherent in conscious awareness. The bliss experienced during deep sleep is not fleeting, but rather a glimpse into an eternal state of cosmic harmony. In this state, we are no longer bound by time or space, nor by the illusions created by our conditioned minds. We exist in perfect synchrony with all that is, a union that transcends duality and embraces the totality of existence. Mainländer's philosophy also challenges traditional notions of redemption, proposing that true salvation lies not in achieving some external goal or purpose, but rather in embracing the emptiness within us all. Redemption is thus a journey inward, towards the void, where we find liberation from the chains of conditioned thought and societal expectation. In this sense, deep sleep becomes a symbol for spiritual awakening, a reminder that our deepest fulfillment comes not from grasping after meaning, but from surrendering to the inherent nothingness of existence. Moreover, Mainländer's perspective on deep sleep as blissful extends beyond personal transformation. It points towards a collective experience of cosmic unity. By embracing individual emptiness and merging with the void, we participate in a larger narrative of redemption, one that seeks to reconcile humanity with its true essence, transcending the confines of material existence. This journey into nothingness, facilitated by deep sleep, is a testament to Mainländer's belief in the power of surrender. It challenges us to embrace our inherent emptiness as a source of strength and liberation rather than fear or despair. By doing so, we open ourselves up to experiences that defy conventional understanding, experiences that hint at an underlying unity and interconnectedness beyond human comprehension. In exploring deep sleep as blissful, Mainländer invites us to contemplate the nature of consciousness itself. He proposes that our waking state is but a narrow slice of existence, limited by our conditioned minds and societal roles. Deep sleep, on the other hand, offers a glimpse into an infinite realm, a state where the boundaries between self and universe dissolve. Furthermore, Mainlander's insights into deep sleep as blissful also shed light on the broader implications of his philosophy for modern society. In an era marked by existential crises and collective anxiety, his ideas offer a radical yet compelling vision of redemption, one that challenges us to embrace our inherent emptiness rather than strive towards external ideals. This journey into nothingness is not just about personal transformation, but also about recognizing the interconnectedness of all beings. By merging with the void during deep sleep, we participate in a cosmic narrative of reconciliation and unity, a reminder that true redemption lies beyond individual striving and suffering, in embracing our inherent emptiness as a source of strength and liberation. In conclusion, Mainlander's exploration of deep sleep as blissful offers a profound perspective on the nature of existence, consciousness, and transformation. It challenges us to embrace the void, not as an absence, but as a fullness, a state of infinite potential and freedom. Through this lens, we are invited to see deep sleep not just as a restorative phase, but as a gateway towards cosmic unity and love, where true redemption is found in embracing our inherent emptiness rather than striving for external meaning. The concept of deep sleep as a gateway to cosmic unity and love is a profound exploration within the philosophical realm, particularly through the lens of Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander. This German philosopher's unique perspective challenges conventional notions of existence, consciousness, and transformation by embracing nothingness not merely as an absence, but as a fullness, a state that holds infinite potential and freedom. Mainlander's philosophy is deeply rooted in the understanding that true redemption lies within the embrace of our inherent emptiness, rather than through striving for external meaning. His view on deep sleep is not just about restorative phases or mere cessation of consciousness, but as a profound journey towards an ultimate state of bliss and unity with the cosmos. The exploration begins by delving into the nature of existence itself. Mainlander posits that our everyday waking life, though seemingly full of experiences and sensations, is riddled with suffering and fragmentation. This existential dilemma is not merely a personal struggle, but a universal condition of being in a world where individual consciousness creates boundaries and limitations. In this context, deep sleep emerges as an escape from the constraints of conscious thought and perception. It is during these moments when the mind quiets down that one experiences a form of liberation, a temporary release from the relentless pursuit of meaning and purpose that characterizes waking life. This state offers a glimpse into something deeper, more fundamental, what Mainlander terms the ultimate rest. The idea of deep sleep as an escape is not new. It has been explored in various spiritual traditions around the world. However, Mainlander's interpretation adds a unique layer by emphasizing the concept of nothingness or emptiness as the foundation for true redemption. In his view, to seek fulfillment through external means such as achievements, relationships, or societal expectations is to perpetuate a cycle of dissatisfaction and suffering. Instead, he advocates for an acceptance of the void, not in a nihilistic sense, but as a state that transcends conventional definitions of being and non-being. This acceptance is not passive resignation, but an active embrace of the inherent emptiness within us all. Through this lens, deep sleep becomes more than just a phase. It symbolizes a transformative journey towards understanding our true nature. Mainlander's philosophy draws heavily from Eastern philosophies such as Buddhism and Taoism, which also emphasize the importance of non-being or emptiness in achieving enlightenment and liberation. However, his approach is uniquely Western. blending philosophical rigor with existential introspection to create a framework that resonates deeply within the context of modern life. One of the key aspects of Mainlander's work is the concept of redemption through embracing nothingness. This idea challenges traditional notions of salvation or enlightenment as something achieved through acts of piety, asceticism, or intellectual inquiry. Instead, it proposes a path that lies in recognizing and accepting our inherent emptiness, the realization that true meaning and fulfillment do not come from external sources, but from an internal acceptance of the void. This acceptance is not an easy journey. It requires a profound shift in perspective, a willingness to let go of all preconceived notions about what constitutes value, purpose, or identity. It demands a deep introspection into our own nature and the limitations imposed by our conscious mind. The process can be daunting but ultimately leads to a state of blissful liberation, where one is no longer bound by the chains of personal desire or societal expectations. In this ultimate rest there lies a profound sense of unity and love, a cosmic embrace that transcends individuality. It is here where Mainlander finds redemption not in achieving some external goal, but in embracing the emptiness within. This state represents a return to the fundamental nature of existence, the pure potential that exists beyond the confines of consciousness. The implications of this philosophy are vast and far-reaching. By advocating for the acceptance of nothingness, Mainlander offers a radical critique of modern society's obsession with productivity, achievement, and material success. He suggests that true fulfillment comes not from acquiring more, but from letting go, an act that can be as simple as allowing oneself to fall into deep sleep without resistance or fear. Deep sleep, in this context, becomes a metaphor for life itself, a cycle of birth, living, and death. Each phase holds its own significance and value. The beauty lies not in avoiding the darkness, but in embracing it fully, to see the void as an integral part of existence rather than something to be feared or overcome. Furthermore, this perspective encourages a reevaluation of our relationship with technology and artificial intelligence. In an era where we are constantly connected and inundated by information, Mainlander's philosophy offers a respite, a call to return to the simplicity and purity of nothingness. It suggests that true understanding and wisdom come not from accumulating more knowledge, but from emptying oneself and allowing for clarity. In conclusion, Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander's exploration of deep sleep as an ultimate rest is a profound invitation to embrace our inherent emptiness, a journey towards redemption and cosmic unity. His philosophy challenges us to see beyond the limitations imposed by consciousness and to find meaning in the void itself. This perspective not only offers a fresh understanding of existence, but also provides a roadmap for living a life that is truly fulfilling and free. Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander's philosophy of redemption is an intricate exploration that delves into the very essence of existence and consciousness. It challenges us to look beyond our everyday experiences, urging us to find meaning in the profound emptiness of deep sleep and nothingness. For Mainlander, the path to true fulfillment lies not in the striving for material or spiritual goals, but rather in embracing a state of being where all desires and ambitions cease, where consciousness itself dissolves into an eternal rest. At the heart of Mainlander's philosophy is the concept that our existence is fundamentally rooted in suffering. This idea, deeply influenced by Schopenhauer's notion of the world as will and representation, posits that life is a continuous struggle against pain and dissatisfaction. However, unlike many philosophical systems that offer solutions through external means or spiritual enlightenment, Mainlander suggests that true redemption comes from recognizing the inherent futility of this perpetual striving. To understand this philosophy more deeply, we need to consider the nature of consciousness itself. In his writings, Mainlander argues that consciousness is an illusion, a product of our innate desire to continue existing, to persist despite the overwhelming evidence that life is ultimately devoid of purpose or fulfillment. This desire manifests as a ceaseless will to survive and achieve, driving us to seek satisfaction in countless ways through relationships, accomplishments, intellectual pursuits, and spiritual endeavors. But Mainländer contends that all these pursuits are ultimately futile because they cannot provide the lasting happiness or meaning we seek. Instead, he points us towards a state of being where this will is quelled, where consciousness itself recedes into a profound stillness. This state can be understood through the concept of deep sleep, a period when our minds rest from their usual activities and desires. In deep sleep, we experience an absence of desire, ambition, or suffering, an emptiness that Mainländer sees as a reflection of the ultimate truth about existence. He argues that this void is not something to be feared, but rather embraced as the true nature of reality. In his view, the constant striving for fulfillment through conscious thought and action only perpetuates the cycle of dissatisfaction. By contrast, the state of deep sleep offers a temporary escape from this torment. Mainländer's perspective invites us to reevaluate our understanding of happiness and fulfillment. Instead of seeking meaning in external achievements or inner spiritual experiences, he suggests that true contentment can be found in the acceptance of nothingness, a recognition that the struggle for life's goals is inherently flawed. This acceptance does not mean surrendering to despair, but rather acknowledging a deeper reality that beyond our conscious efforts lies an unchanging and eternal peace. One might wonder how such a radical notion could lead to a fulfilling life. Mainländer's answer lies in the transformative power of this realization. By coming to terms with the futility of perpetual striving, individuals can break free from the cycle of dissatisfaction that characterizes much of human existence. This shift in perspective does not eliminate all desires, but rather transforms them into less binding and more transient elements of life. Furthermore, Mainländer's philosophy offers a unique pathway towards unity with the cosmos. He posits that by embracing our inherent emptiness and transcending consciousness, we align ourselves with an eternal universal reality, a state of being beyond individuality and suffering. This union with the infinite is not achieved through intellectual understanding or spiritual practices, but rather through a radical acceptance of one's place within the grand scheme of existence. The implications of Mainländer's philosophy are profound and far-reaching. It challenges conventional notions of progress, success, and fulfillment, urging us to redefine what it means to live a meaningful life. By embracing the void and seeking redemption in its stillness, we can find a sense of peace that transcends the limitations imposed by consciousness. Moreover, this philosophy offers a new perspective on the human condition, a recognition that our inherent struggle is both inevitable and ultimately futile. Instead of striving for impossible goals or chasing elusive happiness, Mainländer suggests that true contentment lies in the acceptance of nothingness, the realization that beyond the ceaseless cycle of desires and ambitions, there exists an eternal rest. In conclusion, Arthur Schopenhauer Mainländer's exploration of deep sleep as a path to redemption is a profound invitation to embrace our inherent emptiness, a journey towards cosmic unity and true fulfillment. His philosophy challenges us to see beyond the limitations imposed by consciousness and to find meaning in the void itself. This perspective not only offers a fresh understanding of existence, but also provides a roadmap for living a life that is truly fulfilling and free. Arthur Schopenhauer Mainländer's philosophy is an intricate tapestry woven from threads of existential angst, the search for ultimate meaning in life, and the profound idea that true fulfillment lies not in the bustling activities of consciousness, but in a return to what he terms eternal rest. This eternal rest is neither mere sleep nor death, but rather an elevated state of being where one transcends the confines of individuality and merges with the cosmos. Mainlander's exploration invites us to delve into the depths of our existence, contemplating the nature of nothingness and its role in achieving a higher plane of consciousness. Mainlander's philosophy is rooted in his interpretation of Arthur Schopenhauer's ideas on will and representation. For Schopenhauer, life is fundamentally driven by an unconscious force known as the will, which manifests itself through various desires, cravings, and actions that keep us bound to a cycle of suffering and dissatisfaction. Mainlander took this concept further, positing that the key to liberation lies in transcending this willful existence and embracing a state devoid of such striving. At the heart of Mainlander's thought is the notion of eternal rest, which he sees as a profound metaphor for the cessation of all desire and striving. This state is not merely about sleeping or resting, but rather achieving a transcendental experience where one ceases to be a mere observer or participant in life's events. It is a condition that exists outside the constraints of time and space, a place where the ego dissolves and there is no separation between self and universe. The concept of eternal rest aligns closely with ancient philosophical traditions such as Buddhism, which teaches the attainment of nirvana through the cessation of desire and attachment to worldly things. However, Mainlander's approach is uniquely modern in its emphasis on a scientific understanding of consciousness and its limitations. He argues that all experiences we perceive as real are mere representations or illusions created by our will-driven minds. These representations, while vivid and compelling, do not reflect an objective reality, but rather the inner workings of our psyche. One of the central themes in Mainlander's philosophy is the idea of redemption through nothingness. This might seem paradoxical at first glance, as we often associate fulfillment with something substantial or meaningful. However, Mainlander suggests that true liberation comes from acknowledging and embracing emptiness, a realization that leads to a profound sense of freedom. To understand this concept better, it is crucial to examine how Mainlander views the nature of consciousness itself. He posits that all conscious experiences are rooted in a fundamental state of nothingness or non-being. This perspective challenges traditional notions of existence as something inherently valuable, and instead proposes that our most profound moments of understanding arise when we let go of our habitual attachment to concrete realities. Mainlander's approach to redemption through nothingness can be seen as an extension of his critique on the role of suffering in human life. He argues that conventional religions often focus on mitigating suffering as a means to achieve happiness, but this misses the deeper point. True peace and contentment are found not by alleviating pain, but by transcending it altogether. The path towards eternal rest involves cultivating an awareness of the illusory nature of our conscious experiences. This is achieved through practices such as meditation or deep contemplation that enable one to detach from the relentless pull of desire and attachment. The goal is to recognize the transient and impermanent nature of all phenomena, leading to a state where the self ceases to identify with its fleeting thoughts and sensations. Mainlander's ideas also resonate deeply with contemporary discussions in neuroscience about the limitations of our conscious mind. Research suggests that much of what we experience as reality is constructed by neural processes beyond our immediate awareness. This aligns with Mainlander's view that consciousness itself is a veil obscuring a deeper, more fundamental truth. The implications of embracing eternal rest are far-reaching. It challenges us to question the value systems and goals that drive our daily lives. If true fulfillment lies in transcending conscious experience, then conventional notions of success, such as wealth, status, or even happiness derived from external sources, are seen as hollow pursuits. Mainlander's philosophy encourages a reevaluation of what it means to live a meaningful life. Moreover, his ideas offer a radical perspective on the nature of existence itself. By embracing eternal rest, one moves beyond the dualistic notions of self and other, merging with an all-encompassing reality that lies beyond conventional understanding. This state is not about ceasing to exist, but rather finding unity within the cosmos. In conclusion, Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander's exploration of deep sleep as a path to redemption is a profound invitation to embrace our inherent emptiness, a journey towards cosmic unity and true fulfillment. His philosophy challenges us to see beyond the limitations imposed by consciousness and to find meaning in the void itself. This perspective not only offers a fresh understanding of existence, but also provides a roadmap for living a life that is truly fulfilling and free. As we delve deeper into Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander's philosophy of redemption, it becomes increasingly clear that his exploration of deep sleep and the concept of nothingness is not merely a metaphysical exercise, but a profound revelation of human existence itself. In this chapter, we will uncover how Mainlander's ideas challenge us to see beyond our conditioned reality, embrace our inherent emptiness, and ultimately find fulfillment in the void. This journey into the philosophy of redemption promises to be both intellectually stimulating and deeply personal. Mainlander's work begins with a critique of conventional philosophical thought. He argues that traditional Western philosophies often strive to impose order and meaning on what is inherently chaotic and undefined. By doing so, these philosophies fail to acknowledge the essential nature of existence. It is fundamentally empty and devoid of intrinsic meaning. This emptiness, rather than being seen as a void or an absence, becomes the foundation upon which Mainlander builds his philosophical framework. Central to Mainlander's philosophy is the concept that deep sleep represents a state of pure consciousness, unencumbered by the constructs of daily life and societal expectations. In this state, the mind is not engaged in the constant process of interpretation, judgment, or projection. It simply exists. It is here where Mainlander posits that true redemption lies. The revelation that we can find peace and fulfillment precisely because there is nothing to grasp onto. To fully appreciate Mainlander's perspective, one must understand his critique of consciousness itself. Consciousness, he argues, is a construct that imposes limitations on our understanding of reality. It fragments the world into discrete entities, categorizes experiences, and assigns values based on these categories. This process of fragmentation and valuation distances us from the true essence of existence, its inherent emptiness or nothingness. Mainlander's notion of redemption through deep sleep can be seen as a radical departure from traditional philosophical and religious notions of salvation. While many traditions offer pathways to enlightenment that require adherence to strict moral codes, ascetic practices, or intellectual pursuits, Mainlander suggests that true liberation comes from letting go of these very constructs. In deep sleep, the mind is free from the need to define, judge, or seek fulfillment in external conditions. The path to redemption, according to Mainlander, involves embracing this nothingness, understanding it as a liberating and transformative state. By accepting that existence itself has no inherent meaning or purpose beyond its own empty nature, individuals can find a profound sense of peace and fulfillment. This acceptance is not an act of resignation, but rather a recognition that true freedom lies in the absence of constraints imposed by consciousness. Mainlander's philosophy also addresses the human condition of seeking meaning and fulfillment through external means, whether it be wealth, status, intellectual achievement, or spiritual enlightenment. These pursuits, while they may bring temporary satisfaction, ultimately leave individuals feeling unfulfilled because they do not address the core emptiness at the heart of existence. To illustrate this point, consider the cycle of striving for success and recognition in our daily lives. We pursue goals with the belief that achieving them will lead to happiness and fulfillment. However, once these goals are reached, we often find ourselves searching for new challenges or higher levels of attainment. This pattern continues indefinitely because it fails to address the underlying emptiness that drives us. Mainlander's philosophy offers a different perspective. By acknowledging and embracing this emptiness, individuals can break free from the cycle of seeking external validation. Instead, they can find peace and contentment in the present moment, knowing that true fulfillment is not something to be found outside oneself, but rather an intrinsic state that arises from acceptance. The implications of Mainlander's ideas are far-reaching and profound. They challenge us to reconsider our relationship with consciousness and to question the constructs we impose on reality. By embracing emptiness, individuals can transcend the limitations of conditioned existence and find a deeper sense of peace and fulfillment. This journey is not an easy one. It requires a radical shift in perspective that challenges deeply ingrained beliefs about meaning and purpose. Moreover, Mainlander's philosophy invites us to see the interconnectedness of all things, recognizing that our struggles and aspirations are part of a larger tapestry of existence. By understanding ourselves as integral parts of this cosmic whole, we can find solace in the idea that our individual experiences are meaningful within the broader context of life itself. In conclusion, Arthur Schopenhauer Mainlander's exploration of deep sleep as a path to redemption is a profound invitation to embrace our inherent emptiness, a journey towards cosmic unity and true fulfillment. His philosophy challenges us to see beyond the limitations imposed by consciousness and to find meaning in the void itself. This perspective not only offers a fresh understanding of existence, but also provides a roadmap for living a life that is truly fulfilling and free. Arthur Schopenhauer, Mainlander's philosophy of redemption through deep sleep, offers a provocative and introspective journey into the heart of existence. His work challenges traditional notions of purpose and meaning by proposing that true fulfillment lies not in the pursuit of external achievements, but rather in embracing our inherent emptiness and finding solace in the void itself. This paradoxical comfort in cosmic purposelessness is at the core of Mainlander's radical philosophy, which invites us to reconsider what it means to live a meaningful life. Mainlander builds his philosophy on the foundation that deep sleep represents an ideal state, one where consciousness is suspended and the body rests without the burden of existential concerns. He argues that this state is akin to a return to cosmic unity, a pre-conscious condition of nothingness that predates our individuated self-awareness. It is in this void that Mainlander finds redemption from the suffering inherent in conscious existence. The philosopher posits that life itself is a paradox. It is both the source of joy and sorrow, and ultimately, these experiences are intertwined with an underlying sense of emptiness or non-being. This emptiness, according to Mainlander, is not a void to be feared, but rather a state of being that reveals the true nature of existence, beyond the illusions imposed by our conscious minds. Mainlander's exploration begins with an analysis of deep sleep as a state of pure potentiality and infinite possibility. In this state, the mind is free from the constraints of rational thought and sensory experience, allowing for a direct connection to the cosmos at large. He suggests that through this connection, one can achieve a form of enlightenment or transcendence that is not attainable in waking consciousness. The philosopher's work delves into the idea that deep sleep represents an escape from the suffering associated with conscious existence. This state, he argues, offers a glimpse into a realm beyond our individual concerns and desires, where there exists no attachment to material possessions or social status. It is here that one can find true peace and fulfillment, not through external accomplishments, but by embracing the inherent emptiness of life. Mainländer's philosophy also challenges traditional religious views on redemption, proposing that salvation lies within oneself rather than in divine intervention. He argues that redemption does not come from adherence to dogma or moral codes, but from a profound understanding of our own nature and an acceptance of our existence as it is. This perspective encourages individuals to look inward for meaning and purpose rather than relying on external sources. Furthermore, Mainländer's work offers a critique of the modern obsession with productivity and achievement. He suggests that these pursuits often lead to increased suffering and dissatisfaction as they are rooted in the illusion of control over an inherently uncontrollable existence. By embracing deep sleep as a model for understanding life, one can shift focus from external goals to internal peace. In exploring the concept of redemption through emptiness, Mainländer draws on the philosophical traditions of Schopenhauer and Nietzsche, integrating their ideas into his own unique framework. He borrows from Schopenhauer's notion that life is suffering, and that only by transcending our desires can we find true freedom. Similarly, he incorporates Nietzsche's concept of the Übermensch, or as we venture further into the labyrinthine depths of philosophical redemption, our guide is Arthur Schopenhauer's bleak perspective on life as nothing but suffering, intertwined with Friedrich Nietzsche's audacious vision of a superhuman who transcends ordinary human limitations. This chapter delves into how Max Stirner's The God Who Chose Nothingness reimagines these ideas into a framework that sees redemption not in the traditional sense of moral improvement or spiritual enlightenment, but through embracing the void and absolute negation that paradoxically leads to liberation and freedom. In Schopenhauer's worldview, existence is fundamentally flawed. Life presents itself as a relentless cycle of desires leading to suffering. The philosopher suggests that only by renouncing these endless cravings can one escape the wheel of karma and achieve a state of peace, nirvana in Eastern terms, or what he calls the extinction of the will to live. Nietzsche takes this idea and flips it on its head with his Übermensch concept. This superhuman entity does not seek to escape the world through asceticism or religious devotion, but instead transcends ordinary human limitations by affirming life in all its chaotic, contradictory glory. The Übermensch recognizes the inherent will to power within every living thing and channels this drive towards personal growth and creative expression. Max Stirner's radical approach combines these elements into a philosophy that finds redemption not through any positive assertion, but through absolute negation. For him, true freedom lies in embracing nothingness, the complete rejection of all external values, norms, and beliefs. By choosing to exist in an eternal void, free from the constraints imposed by society and morality, Stirner's God achieves a state beyond good and evil, where individual will is paramount. Stirner's work challenges traditional religious and philosophical thought by proposing that salvation comes not through submission to divine commandments or moral imperatives, but through embracing one's own sovereign freedom. This freedom is achieved by rejecting any form of authority, be it divine or social, that seeks to impose its will upon the individual, leading to a state where one's desires are no longer dictated by external forces. The process Stirner describes can be seen as an act of cosmic cooling, a gradual reduction of intensity and heat within the engine of life. Just as a mechanical system requires maintenance to prevent overheating and eventual breakdown, so too does the human spirit need to cool its burning passions in order to achieve clarity and peace. This isn't about surrendering to despair, but rather finding the courage to face existence without illusions. In this cooling process, one must strip away layers of false consciousness, those ideas we accept as truth simply because they are part of our social fabric. By critically examining every belief and value, Stirner's approach leads us towards a state of pure individuality where only what is truly desired by the self matters. This radical freedom allows for the creation of one's own meaning without recourse to pre-existing moral or religious frameworks. This journey of cooling down the cosmic engine requires courage and introspection. It demands that we confront our deepest fears, desires, and doubts in order to strip away the layers of illusion that society imposes upon us. By rejecting these external constructs, Stirner's philosophy promises a path towards absolute freedom, a state where one is unencumbered by societal expectations or moral imperatives. In embracing this void, Stirner's God embodies an existence free from the constraints of dualistic thinking, embracing instead a fluid and dynamic reality that transcends conventional boundaries. This radical individualism challenges us to consider our own lives in terms not of what we should do or believe, but rather what we truly desire and value as unique individuals. The implications of Stirner's ideas are profound. By rejecting the notion of objective truth or universal moral principles, his philosophy opens up a world where each person is free to create their own reality based on personal desires and aspirations. This can lead to both liberation from oppressive systems and an ethical relativism that questions the foundations of social order. In conclusion, Stirner's path of cooling down the cosmic engine offers a unique perspective on redemption, one that finds freedom in embracing nothingness rather than seeking it through positive assertions or moral obligations. By rejecting external values and affirming our sovereign individuality, we can achieve a state of liberation beyond conventional notions of good and evil. This journey is not an easy one, as it requires facing the emptiness within ourselves and the world around us. Yet, for those willing to undertake this radical self-examination, Stirner's philosophy promises a path towards true freedom, a realm where individual will reigns supreme. As we delve deeper into the philosophy of Max Stirner, his radical ideas about individualism and sovereignty begin to take on a new dimension. Stirner's rejection of external values and moral absolutes provides a foundation for understanding the concept of universal peace through the lens of existential liberation. This chapter explores how Stirner's notion of nothingness can serve as a stepping stone towards a world where conflict is resolved not by adherence to ethical norms or religious dogma, but through a profound personal transformation that leads to true freedom. In Stirner's seminal work, The Ego and Its Own, the idea of nothingness emerges as a central theme. This concept challenges conventional philosophical thinking by asserting that liberation from societal constraints can only be achieved when one confronts the void inherent in existence itself. By embracing this emptiness, individuals are free from the illusion of external value systems and can assert their sovereign individuality without fear or hesitation. Stirner's critique of collective ideologies is rooted in his belief that true freedom lies not in aligning with societal norms but in rejecting them entirely. This radical stance leads to a profound reevaluation of personal identity, where one's self-worth is derived from the recognition of their unique individuality rather than prescribed roles or ideals. The journey towards embracing nothingness is arduous and often confrontational. It requires individuals to face their deepest fears and insecurities, acknowledging that external values do not provide a stable foundation for personal identity. Instead, Stirner advocates for an internal revolution where the ego asserts its dominance over societal expectations and moral imperatives. This process of self-liberation is not without its challenges. The rejection of established norms can be unsettling, as it forces individuals to question their most fundamental beliefs and values. However, for those willing to undertake this journey, Stirner's philosophy offers a path towards genuine freedom, a state where individual will reigns supreme, free from the constraints of collective morality. As we explore the implications of Stirner's ideas on universal peace, it becomes evident that the pursuit of harmony among individuals is not achieved through external regulations or ethical frameworks. Rather, it arises from an internal transformation where each person recognizes and asserts their own sovereignty. This self-awakening creates a foundation for mutual respect and understanding, fostering an environment where conflicts can be resolved through dialogue and cooperation rather than imposition. The concept of universal peace, as envisioned by Stirner's philosophy, is rooted in the recognition that true harmony stems from individual liberation. When individuals are free to assert their sovereign will without external constraints, they are better equipped to engage with others on a level playing field. This mutual respect forms the basis for a society where conflicts can be addressed through negotiation and empathy rather than coercion or moral absolutism. In practical terms, this approach to universal peace challenges traditional notions of governance and social organization. It suggests that collective well-being is not achieved by imposing uniform values, but by fostering an environment where individual differences are celebrated and respected. This paradigm shift requires a radical rethinking of societal structures, moving away from hierarchical systems towards more egalitarian models that prioritize personal autonomy and mutual understanding. Furthermore, Stirner's philosophy encourages the exploration of new ways to resolve conflicts and promote harmony among diverse groups. By emphasizing the importance of individual sovereignty and mutual respect, this approach provides a framework for addressing social issues without resorting to dogmatic solutions. Instead, it advocates for a dialogue-driven process where differences are embraced as opportunities for growth and understanding. The path towards universal peace through Stirner's philosophy is a continuous journey of self-discovery and personal transformation. It requires individuals to confront their own limitations and fears, embracing the emptiness within themselves as a catalyst for change. This process leads to a deeper understanding of one's true individuality, paving the way for authentic connections with others based on mutual respect and empathy. In conclusion, Stirner's concept of nothingness offers a profound insight into achieving universal peace by emphasizing the importance of personal sovereignty and liberation from external constraints. By embracing this radical philosophy, individuals can pave the way towards a more harmonious world where conflicts are resolved through dialogue and cooperation rather than imposition or moral absolutism. The concept of nothingness as a radical philosophical stance is one that challenges traditional views on morality, identity, and the nature of existence itself. This chapter delves into the ideas of Peter Wessel Zapffe and Oswald Spengler's existential nihilism, which form the backdrop for our exploration of Max Stirner's philosophy. Stirner posited that true liberation lies in embracing nothingness as a means to break free from societal constraints and moral absolutism. However, we now pivot towards another influential thinker who approached the concept of nothingness with a unique perspective, Philipp Mainländer. Mainländer's work is often overshadowed by more famous philosophers like Stirner and Nietzsche, yet his ideas offer a profound and intricate framework for understanding the human condition through the lens of nothingness. Born in 1847, Mainländer was deeply influenced by Schopenhauer's pessimism and Wagner's operatic portrayal of mythic suffering. His magnum opus, The Redemption of Humanities, published in 1876, is a treatise on despair, redemption through annihilation, and the ultimate realization that existence itself is an illusion. In this chapter, we will explore Mainländer's philosophy as it relates to nothingness, focusing particularly on his concept of transcendence via the negation of self. The idea is not merely passive nihilism, but a proactive engagement with the void, which he sees as a path towards enlightenment and liberation from the confines of human existence. Mainländer begins by examining the inherent contradictions within life itself. He argues that the pursuit of happiness through material success or social status is ultimately futile because these goals are inherently unstable and unsatisfying. The quest for fulfillment in such pursuits only leads to a cycle of disappointment and despair. as nothing external can truly satisfy our innermost desires. In this sense, Mainländer echoes Stirner's critique of societal norms, but approaches it from a more spiritual perspective. While Stirner focuses on the individual breaking free from social constructs through self-sovereignty, Mainländer suggests that true liberation lies beyond such personal autonomy and involves embracing the nothingness at the core of existence. Mainländer's philosophy is deeply rooted in his view of life as an illusion created by a cosmic will to negate itself. This concept builds upon Schopenhauer's idea of will, but takes it further, suggesting that the ultimate goal of this will is not merely to deny pleasure or embrace asceticism, but to ultimately cease its own existence. In doing so, Mainländer argues, one transcends suffering and enters a state of profound peace. This transcendence through nothingness is achieved by recognizing the futility of all worldly pursuits and embracing the ultimate truth that life itself is an illusion created by this cosmic will. By understanding that our desires, attachments, and even identities are part of this illusory construct, we can begin to detach from them and approach a state of enlightenment. Mainländer's concept of nothingness as liberation contrasts sharply with the existential dread often associated with nihilism. Instead of viewing nothingness as an abyss or a void to be feared, Mainländer sees it as a gateway to true freedom. This is because in negating our attachment to the illusory world, we also negate our suffering and enter into a state of peace. This radical approach challenges us to question the very nature of reality itself. If life is an illusion created by a will that seeks its own annihilation, then our pursuit of happiness or meaning within this construct is misguided at best. Mainländer's work invites us to look beyond conventional wisdom and embrace the paradoxical notion that true fulfillment lies in accepting the futility of all existence. Mainländer's ideas have profound implications for how we understand human nature and the purpose of life. By rejecting the material world as an illusion, he encourages a form of spiritual detachment that can lead to inner peace and transcendence. This is not an easy path, however, as it requires recognizing and accepting the inherent contradictions within our existence. For Mainländer, this recognition does not lead to despair, but rather to a sense of liberation from the constraints of materialism and societal norms. It's a call to embrace the void, not as an end in itself, but as a transformative experience that leads us beyond suffering into a state of being where the illusion is seen through and the true essence of reality is revealed. In this chapter, we have explored Mainländer's concept of nothingness as a path towards enlightenment and transcendence. His ideas offer a unique perspective on how to approach the inherent contradictions within life and find peace beyond traditional notions of happiness or fulfillment. While Stirner's philosophy focused on individual sovereignty, Mainländer takes us further into the realm of spiritual liberation through recognition and acceptance of the illusory nature of existence. As we continue our journey through these philosophical explorations, it is clear that the concept of nothingness offers a powerful lens for understanding human purpose and striving. Whether through Stirner's emphasis on personal autonomy or Mainländer's path towards transcendence via spiritual recognition, both thinkers provide profound insights into how to navigate the complexities of life and find true fulfillment.